we'll start at number 10, the 10th best team in the National Football League, down a couple of spots from last week. It is the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are the 10th best team in the National Football League, and here is why. So listen, Atlanta, the sky is not falling. Relax. In the words of Aaron Rodgers, right? RELAX. So your first loss comes to a Pittsburgh Steelers team, sure at home, but that was kind of a road game for the Falcons. Pittsburgh Steelers fans, shout out to all of us out there who travel better than any franchise out there. But the institutional win of Pittsburgh, the not turning the ball over, playing great defense, that's the Mike Tomlin way. Kirk Cousins' first start, Raheem Morris's first game as head coach, it was going to be a little bit clunky. But you go on the road, you steal that game in Philadelphia, feel good about yourselves, and you lose a very close game that you could easily won against the back-to-back champs. Listen, if not for a horrendously bad fourth down call in the final minutes of that game, good chance he probably would have won. You still got a loaded offense. Kyle Pitts is starting to show signs of what we thought he could be coming out of Florida. Drake London, we know he's capable of. Caught that game-winning touchdown a couple weeks ago. Bijan Robinson is special. Kirk Cousins, again, veteran quarterback, off an injury. It's going to take him a little bit more time, but he's starting to look more and more like himself. Had a great first couple of drives against a great Chiefs defense. Still believe in the Falcons. Still think they're the best team in the NFC South. Atlanta, the Falcons, the 10th best team in the National Football League. Despite being 1-2, folks, got to go by the eye test, not by the standings. At number 9, also with a losing record, down precipitously from 5 spots from last week's list. Nonetheless, still on the list. It is the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners are the 9th best team in the National Football League, and here is why. Had they lose to the Los Angeles Rams, there's no George Kittle, no Deebo Samuels, no Christian McCaffrey. They lose Hargrave for the season, which is a devastating loss. There's injuries to Jarvis Ward and to Nick Bosa. Talanoa Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw. We'll see if they're able to come back, obviously, and get themselves back into the fold of things sooner rather than later. Dealing with injuries across the board. Here's what we do know. Juwan Jennings, go Vols. Have a day. 3 touchdowns and well over 150 receiving yards was unbelievable. And Brock Purdy, I've been waiting. When things aren't going your way, can you maintain that level of performance? They lost the game, Bryson. Wasn't because of Purdy. Purdy's the last reason they lost that game. That was special teams that cost the 49ers and to a certain degree defense. Okay, so I am not selling my stock on San Francisco. I'm not picking them to come out of the NFC or anything, and I still think the Rams are going to win that division. But listen, I needed to see that from Brock Purdy. I need to see it more and more moving forward to make sure this is a consistent trend and not just a blip. But the kid made some excellent throws. He was good moving in and out of the pocket. San Francisco's still really good. Once they get these guys back, assuming McCaffrey's Achilles tendonitis is okay in the long run, that's a big, knock on wood for him, big-time situation with the 49ers. Still believe in them. The San Francisco 49ers, are the 9th best team in the National Football League. Making their debut on Bryson's Best 10, say it loud, say it proud, at number 8 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers, my Steelers, are the 8th best team in the National Football League. And here is why, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Here's what I can tell you. I can tell you the simple fact that Justin Fields, top 5 in the NFL in terms of completion percentage. I can tell you this, folks, that the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is second, if number serves me correctly, second against the run, 6th against the pass, 1st overall in terms of points per game given up. Ladies and gentlemen, the Pittsburgh Steelers, my Steelers, give up on average 8.7 points per game. And by the way, it's not like they've been facing the easiest schedule in the world. At Atlanta with a good offense. Going on the road, obviously, to Denver. Listen, Denver's still got a good home field advantage. That's Sean Payton and Bo Nix, who looks great in week 3, by the way. Pittsburgh shut them down. And then in week 3, facing an LA Chargers team that was playing really good football. Justin Herbert, yes, he was beat up, but he didn't get injured and knocked out of the game until the second half. Run the football effectively. Pittsburgh defense is all over that. Mike Tomlin's a great coach. We know that. Arthur Smith, the job that he's done with Justin Fields, dude's completing over 70% of his throws after barely struggling to complete 60% in Chicago. George Pickens doing his thing. Najee Harris, Calvin Austin with the game-breaking touchdown. Roman Wilson, I can't wait to see what this kid's able to do once he gets more and more opportunities. Listen, I thought it was a classic, barely get a winning season out of Mike Tomlin type of year. Dare I say, AFC North title may not be an unrealistic prospect for my Steelers, who are Cam shook there, the 8th best team in the National Football League. At number 7, down a spot from last week, it is the Houston Texans. The Texans are the 7th best team in the National Football League, and here's why. So I actually thought about keeping Houston at number 6 because the fact that they lost to a an unbelievable Vikings defense. I just said the Steelers got the best defense in the NFL. Minnesota's number 2. The Vikings giving up only like 10 points per game. But on the Texans side of things, the reason that they dropped a spot, and it's a little bit of a concern that I have through 3 games thus far, even though we're early in the season. They have not played a complete game yet. They're 2-1. They're first place in the AFC South. But in week 1, bad defensive performance against a quarterback in Anthony Richardson who can hit the home run ball and the deep ball, but in the intermediate routes, yikes. Guy is bad, straight up bad in that regard. Bad defensive performance in week 1. Well below average offensive performance. Yeah, Chicago's got a really good defense, but still would have liked to see a lot more from CJ Stroud and that Texas offense. Not turn the ball over in the red zone in week 2. And then week 3, it was just they were outclassed by a Vikings team that was more ready to play than them, obviously, with the home field advantage at home in Minnesota. CJ Stroud's still a great quarterback. My only concern with this team, that's the reason that I wasn't quite love their organizational structure and their roster, was not quite as high as everybody else was, is they're just a little bit too young. Historically speaking, usually teams that go on to win Super Bowl, a lot of veterans, Texans just simply don't have that many veteran guys. You could say Stephon Diggs, we know his issues he had with Josh Allen. Listen, they got a great coach, they got a great quarterback, unbelievable roster of young guys. I just don't quite think they're ready yet to go on a deep playoff run. I still think they're probably in a situation to win the AFC South almost by default because the rest of the teams below them. Yikes. Houston Texans are the 7th best team in the National Football League. Making their debut on Bryson's Best 10 this season. At number 6, it is, welcome, the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings, from unranked to number 6, are the 6th best team in the National Football League, and here is why. So Sam Darnold, leading the NFL in touchdown passes. Didn't see that coming. Goes to show you, again, props to Darnold. I loved his talent coming out of USC. But teaming up with Kevin O'Connell, doing the job that he's done, Darnold, who is a turnover machine with the Jets, with the Panthers, he's just straight up not turning the football over through the first 3 games of the season. Again, a Vikings defense giving up 10 points per game. Brian Flores, listen, it's 3 weeks in. Take a bow, sir. Okay, listen, Minnesota had a talented defense, but 2 years ago, this was defensively the worst pass defense in professional football. Last year, take a step up. This year, along with Pittsburgh, the 2 best units in the NFL on that side of the football, doing what they did to blow out San Francisco. The score is not indicative of how much they dominated that game. To blow out the Niners, and then blow out a Houston Texans team, missing Jordan Addison, missing TJ Hawkinson, dealing with injuries to some of your guys defensively. I was very, 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 very impressed by what I saw with the Vikings. Do I think they're a contender? Listen, Nick Foles once hoisted a trophy. I mean, we've seen crazier things, but I don't think you can win a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold. I mean, that's what history shows. I loved him out of USC. I wanted to believe him so bad for the longest time, but I sold stock. I'm buying back into Sam Darnold stock, at least with Kevin O'Connell. Vikings team's really good. 3-0, and they beat 2 really quality opponents in the last 2 weeks. Minnesota Vikings, the 6th best team in the National Football League. At number 5, down 2 spots from last week, it's a team that I've been higher on the most, the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are the 5th best team in the National Football League, and here is why. So, listen, at the end of the day, the LA Chargers lost to a Pittsburgh Steelers team that is the best defense in football. Pittsburgh was at home for the first time in a long time. That was Pittsburgh's first home game since right before Christmas last year. Okay, so it's been a minute since we played at Acrisure Stadium doing what we did on that side of the ball. So, again, Justin Herbert, who, again, I said coming in this game, should not have played with that ankle injury. Save him for the Kansas City game. The line for that game, by the way, Chiefs on the road, -8.5. That tells you Justin Herbert's probably not going to play this week. Joe Alt got hurt in this game, and y'all know the thing about Joe Alt. The dude is as special a tackle as we've ever seen in the history of the NFL draft. Is unbelievable. Him and Rashawn Slater, best tackle duo, bar none, in the National Football League. I still like this Chargers defense, but they're going to be missing Derwin James this week against Kansas City. So if the Chargers somehow find a way to beat the Chiefs, they might be like number 1 next week. Who knows? I still love Jim Harbaugh. I still like their weapons a lot. Quentin Johnson looks playable, unlike a year ago where he looked like a total bust. J.K. Dobbins is excellent. I'm not selling my stock of this Chargers team. I'm holding firm to my prediction that they will get to the AFC title game and lose to their arch rival Kansas City Chiefs. The LA Chargers are the 5th best team in the National Football League. At number 4, making Bryce's best 10 for the first time since week 1. My sister's going to love this one. the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are the fourth best team in the National Football League, and here is why. So, listen, maybe some of this is just the bias, the fact that I was able to see this game in Nashville in person and see what Malik Willis, who a year ago, again, didn't look like he belonged on an NFL field, honest to God, with the Tennessee Titans. When Jordan Love goes down in that Philadelphia game, first of all, thank God, knock on wood for him, that it wasn't as serious as we initially thought. But number two, my thought was, well, Green Bay's going to have to somehow find a way to cling to whatever they can and just survive the next few games with Malik Willis, the starting quarterback. Survive. They've thrived. So Josh Jacobs ran the football all over the Colts in week 2. Well, Indianapolis can't really stop the run, so Green Bay props to them winning that game at Lambeau. But on the road against the Titans team, albeit an 0-3 Titans team, quarterbacked by one of the worst QBs in the league, Will Levis, nonetheless, okay? That's a good Titans defense. That's Jeffrey Simmons. That's L'Jarius Sneed. They got some dudes on that side of the ball for Tennessee. And Malik Willis, unbelievable deep ball, great on third down, moved very well in and out of the pocket. Green Bay didn't necessarily run the ball that effectively. Malik Willis led them in rushing, was efficient. Matt LaFleur, I was skeptical about him for years. Guy is freaking brilliant. Right now, Matt LaFleur is my coach of the year. The guy's done it. Kevin O'Connell's up there as well. LaFleur's done an insane job with a quarterback that looked genuinely, mechanically broken his first part of his career at the Tennessee Titans. Once Jordan Love gets back with those weapons, with a vastly improved defense, they got the coach, obviously, from Boston College to replace Joe Barry. Boy, look out for Green Bay. I didn't pick them to win the NFC North or anything. I picked Detroit to do that. Watch out for the Packers. I was blown away by what I saw from them last week in week 3. The Packers are the fourth best team in the National Football League. At number 3 up, I believe a spot from last week, or a couple spots, last week's edition of Bryce's Best 10. At number 3, it is the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are the third best team in the National Football League, and here's why. Josh Allen's awesome. The Bills' run game is the best they've had with Josh Allen. The Bills' O-line's the best they've had with Josh Allen. The Bills' defense is excellent, and their weapons are better, much better than they get credit for. Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, and Dalton Kincaid, as well as Dawson Knox as well. The only reason I've got them at number 3, 3-0 record, obviously, playing exceptional football. Not the crazy hardest schedule in the world. So Cardinals, frisky team. You take care of business at home. Week 2, I did by the Dolphins team for the jump, and Josh Allen, the Bills, own the Dolphins. Props to them. They get the W there. And then the other night against the Jaguars, I may love Trevor Lawrence. The Jacksonville is very good. Jacksonville is one of the worst defenses in professional football. Josh Allen carved them up, looked unbelievable. They're the biggest threat to the Kansas City Chiefs, the AFC. That said, it's an overall body of work, not just this season, but what we know from you in seasons past. The typical 1-2 team, the 49ers, is not going to be at number 9 on this list in the top 10 if they had a losing record a season ago. They're just not, right? Your body of work does matter. The Bills' body of work say they always win the division. They're always a playoff team. They always start the season red hot. This is a different type of red hot, to be a sustainable red hot for the Buffalo Bills. Nonetheless, I've got them at number 3. The Bills, the third best team in the National Football League, because at number 2, still not moving a spot from where they've been at since week 1, it is the Detroit Lions. The Lions are the second best team in the National Football League. And before I tell you why, can I get a word, Dan Campbell?
Kneecap.
Oh, I know. I'm overrating the Detroit Lions. Whatever. Here's what I will tell you. I remember saying this all last season with the Kansas City Chiefs when I consistently kept having them in the top 5, and it is this. Okay? A Chiefs defense, which in years past, frankly, hadn't been very good, was dominating the first part of their schedule. And their offense just simply did not get it going. Mahomes wasn't playing great. Kelsey didn't look the best, and all this and all that. And my take was, okay, if Kansas City's biggest issue in the here and now is their offense, call me crazy, call me loony, I think they're going to get it fixed. I feel the same way about the Detroit Lions. Folks, Detroit giving up 20 to the Rams at home. Listen, 20 is nothing to go crazy about, but still 22. A Rams team that was the healthiest we've seen them to this point with Sean McVay, all those guys. Indoor Stafford making his return to Detroit. Week 2. Oh, Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield went off. Yeah, he did go off, but he was bad on third down, and the Bucs went to the end of that game at the finish, right? That's because Detroit was playing great defense, and Nate Hutchinson was unblockable. And then against the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray Marvin Harrison Jr. lighting the world on fire, which they have the capability to do any given Sunday. 13 points. In Arizona, 13 points given up to a Cardinals team that had just previously scored 41. If offense is the issue in Detroit, Jared Goff, again, struggling, gets pressure, and they tried the trick plays, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Sam Laporte is hurt, knock on wood for him. I made the bold prediction that he will be regarded as the best tight end in football at season's end. That looks somewhat, that doesn't look like that may necessarily happen, depending on how serious this injury is. They've still got a phenomenal offensive line. Goff is still good when you give him protection. Their weapons are good with Gibbs, with St. Brown, with Jameson Williams, David Montgomery. They got some dudes on that side of the ball. Ben Johnson's gotten off to a little bit of a rough start as their OC. He'll get things fixed. This Detroit defense is exceptional. It's better than I thought it'd be when I picked them to make the Super Bowl of the NFC. Aiden Hutchinson, Terry Arnold, they got some really, really excellent players on that side of the ball. If offense is Detroit's problem, call me nuts, they're going to get that fixed. The Lions are the second best team in the National Football League, and of course, staying where they've been since the start of the season. At number one, it is the back-to-back world champion, Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are the best team in the National Football League, and here's why. A lot of my argument that I made for Detroit kind of applies to Kansas City to a certain degree, right? But with a different little twist on it. Yes, Kansas City's defense is playing exceptional, which we kind of did expect that from them given what they did last year when they were probably the second or third best defense in football a season ago. And their offense hasn't gotten it going. Patrick Mahomes, 19th. This is insane. 19th in the NFL in passer rating. Not great. Travis Kelce has been nothing short of invisible for Kansas City. Here's the good news. Rashee Rice, who legal situation pending, we'll see if he'll probably won't get suspended until next season. But Rashee Rice on the field has been unbelievable. Whether it's Kelce drawing the attention away from Rashee Rice, whatever it is, Reed, Mahomes, scheming, they've been great. Okay, does this kid Carson Steele, the kid they ran the ball with against the Falcons, no Isaiah Pacheco, he looked pretty good. He looked really good. Kansas City's defense is excellent, and keep this in mind as well. Yes, Kansas City hasn't looked, as pretty, as sexy as we've wanted them to look on offense. Here's what we know. They beat the Baltimore Ravens at home. I think Baltimore's good. Yeah. Beat the Cincinnati Bengals at home. The Bengals been good against the Chiefs and have a great quarterback. Yeah. And then they beat the Atlanta Falcons on the road in Atlanta, what was literally dubbed by Adam Schefter the biggest game in a Mercedes-Benz Stadium history. And to beat a very talented Atlanta Falcons team on the road, led by their defense. Hardest schedule in the league through 3 weeks. Best quarterback in the world. Kansas City's overrated. Oh my goodness. I got one word for you from the partner of the second most famous, maybe at this point the most famous Kansas City Chiefs. I just got one thing to say to y'all, okay? With the Chiefs being the best team in professional football. You need to calm down. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.